So what is short story in general? So शॉर्ट स्टोरी जो है वो जनरली एक फिक्शनल टेल होती है, राइट? एंड इसके 3 एलिमेंट्स भी होते हैं, प्लॉट, कैरेक्टराइजेशन एंड सेटिंग, जिसमें थीम, कन्फ्लिक्ट, पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, सस्पेंस, फोरशैडोइंग, फ्लैशबैक, एवरीथिंग इज इंक्लूडेड। तो शॉर्ट स्टोरी के एलिमेंट्स में प्लॉट आता है, और प्लॉट में इंट्रोडक्शन, यस, जिसमें कैरेक्टर्स से हम इंट्रोड्यूस होते हैं. देन वी हैव राइजिंग एक्शन which builds up the story. Then we have climax, where the reader finds out what happens to conflict. Then we have falling action, the plot begins to wrap up. Then the conclusion, resolution. So conclusion और resolution में क्या होता है, जब आपका प्लॉट जो है वो एंड पे आने वाला होता है और फाइनली वी आर गोइंग टू कंक्लूड. सो देयर आर 4 टाइप्स ऑफ कंक्लूजन. Expository, happy. So all the loose ends are tied up and explained. The ending isn't happy. So expository, happy. Expository, sad, means everything is done and ending is sad. Then we have our surprise. So reader don't expect at all. Surprise लग जाता है एकदम. Then indeterminate. So reader is left with questions and supply the ending to him or herself. Okay. Anti-climax, a dull or a disappointing ending after increasing the excitement. For example, after the weeks of preparation, the concert itself was a bit of anti-climax. So in the ending, we doesn't measure up the plots, even start preceded and ending with anticlimactic. प्लॉट का डायग्राम यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड. इंट्रोडक्शन, राइजिंग एक्शन, ये देखो, इनिशिएटिंग इंसिडेंट, क्लाइमैक्स, फॉलिंग एक्शन, कंक्लूजन. नाउ टॉकिंग अबाउट कैरेक्टराइजेशन. कैरेक्टराइजेशन में भी हमारे पास टाइप्स होती है. प्रोटोगनिस्ट. प्रोटोगनिस्ट इज द मेन कैरेक्टर इन द स्टोरी. यू नीड टू यूज दिस वर्ड. देन एंटागोनिस्ट. सो antagonist is usually the character but not always, especially person against self, the bad guy. Then flat character, this is the minor character, maybe 2 sides to personality. The character might not be realistic or like because so little know about them. Then we have round character. These characters are believable and complex people with several sides of the personality. Then we have dynamic character, also known as kinetic character. So character changes in some important way because of plot events. A cruel old man might see error because of his ways and become generous and kind. A gentle girl becomes vicious and angry because of her parents' divorce. सो जो कैरेक्टर है वो चेंज हो रहा है ड्यू टू सम सर्कमस्टांसेस. स्टैटिक, अपोजिट होते हैं डायनामिक के. दे हैव द सेम पर्सनालिटी थ्रू आउट. जैसे स्टोरी के स्टार्टिंग में थे वैसे ही स्टोरी के लास्ट में रहते हैं. स्टीरियोटिपिकल. स्टीरियोटिपिकल, these are the characters whose people are easily recognized. So in which story they appear, they are always the same, like the old witch, like woman, जैसे दिख रही है वैसी हैं. जी की साइंटिस्ट. So character fall, it's when 2 characters balance each other in some way. They're almost like 2 halves of a whole person, मतलब opposite of one another in particular way. A good person might be a foil for an evil person. Caricature, a character in a piece of a literature who has a very exaggerate characteristic. Character analysis. So physical experience, things character say, thing character do, character think. Appearance, क्या बोल रहा है वो, क्या उसकी एक्शन है, क्या सोच रहा है, क्या वो अदर कैरेक्टर के बारे में कह रहा है, और ऑथर ने जो इन्फॉर्मेशन दी है. So a character sketch is a description of character's moral and personality and qualities written in a paragraph about specific examples, right? So the character terms are आपने ऊपर देख लिए हैं, physical appearance, personality के बारे में पता ही है. Now setting की बात कर लें. So author may choose to state the setting clearly or leave it to the reader to interfere from textual clues. So there are two paths to complete setting: emotional and physical, right? एक तो इमोशनल स्टोरी हो सकती है और एक फिजिकल सेटिंग हो सकती है. नाउ फोकसिंग ऑन द थीम. So the message of the story stated in one or two complete sentences is a theme. When person describes story theme, the person is described what can be learned about the life and or people from the story. So theme is very important. So you can see this. The topic of Scooby-Doo is solving mysteries, yet one theme is that good triumphs over evil. So ये कुछ जैसे एग्जाम्पल्स हैं, जैसे मतलब ये कुछ टर्म्स हैं, ध्यान से एक बार देख लो. Abundant, alienation, ambition, American dream, birth, childhood, coming of age, commoditization, commercialization, commerce, community, cruelty, death, education, ethics, experience, fall from grace, family, fate, freedom, futility, gender, grief, growth, guilt, heroism, hope, human relation, identity, illness, individual and God, innocence, isolation, journey and struggle, justice, love and friends, memory, nationalism, nature, oppression, parenthood, pride, race, regret, rejection, religion, responsibility, revenge, sacrifice. मतलब यही सब कुछ थीम होगी ना. साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, सेक्स एंड लाइक social class, spirituality, stages of life, success, suffering, survival, time, tradition, violence and work. Okay, so ये आप कुछ इस तरह से अंडरस्टैंडिंग कर सकते हैं कि man struggle against nature means man is always as a battle with human nature, whether the drives described as sexual material or against the process, and a man against the societal pressure. So like you can say about the revolutionary road of the character who knows how the society says they should live but feels society dictation in a contrary way to what makes them happy. Divinity, the peace with God but satisfaction is difficult. Crime doesn't pay. So ये कुछ इस तरह से थीम के एग्जाम्पल है. इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ फैमिली, द sacrifices for family, love is worthiest, yin yang means when you think life is finally going to be easy and something bad happens to balance it out. हम सोचते हैं कुछ अच्छा होने वाला है और कुछ बुरा हो जाता है. सो लव के बारे में तो आपको पता ही है, बहुत स्टोरीज चलती है रोमांटिक. नाउ डेथ इज़ अ पार्ट ऑफ आवर लाइफ साइकिल. यस, sacrifices being reward, hard work पे करता है. Human beings all have the same needs, great journey, loss of innocence, noble sacrifice, great battle, fall from grace, love and friendship, reversal of fortune, okay, revenge, big trick, big mystery, and other themes you can see like social influences determines a person's final destiny. A person's identity is determined by place in society. Everyone had an inner child. Enjoy life now because we all died too soon. Sometimes people do stupid things to impress other people. Honesty is or is not the always best policy. Yes, family is the most important thing. Faith, good friend. Don't judge book by its cover. We change the future. Every action is a reaction. So with freedom comes responsibility. It's important to be your own person. Love is stronger than hate. God is stronger than evil. Good is stronger than evil. नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द कन्फ्लिक्ट. कन्फ्लिक्ट जो है वो प्लॉट को फॉरवर्ड ले जाएगा. जैसे इंटरनल कन्फ्लिक्ट हो सकता है व्हेन द कन्फ्लिक्ट इज इनसाइड अ कैरेक्टर इन द स्टोरी, है ना. सो एंड एक्सटर्नल कन्फ्लिक्ट व्हेन कन्फ्लिक्ट इज आउटसाइड अ कैरेक्टर इन द स्टोरी. So additionally there are 4 different categories of conflict: person versus person, person versus self, person versus environment, person versus supernatural or machine. ठीक है, आपस में ही लड़ाई, अपने आप से लड़ाई, एनवायरनमेंट से लड़ाई, या किसी मशीन या सुपरनैचुरल चीज़ से लड़ाई. सो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू फर्स्ट पर्सन, तो आई सेंट्रल कैरेक्टर, यू द सेकेंड, और थर्ड में जो है वो ओमनीशेंट भी हो सकता है, बिकॉज व्हेन वी यूज ही एंड शी, रीडर नोज व्हाट्स गोइंग ऑन देयर हेड्स, है ना. लिमिटेड ओमनीशेंट मीन्स कैरेक्टर्स रेफर टू ही शी व्हेन द रीडर नोज what is going in some of their heads and the remaining characters are in the objective fashion. Objective, when the author records the action as a movie camera and the reader does not see any character's thoughts. कैरेक्टर के कुछ थॉट्स ही उसे नहीं पता चलते हैं कि वो माइंड में क्या सोच रहे हैं, है ना. और यहाँ पर आपको पता चलता है ओमनीशेंट में कि कैरेक्टर के माइंड में क्या चल रहा है जब आपको नरेटर बताता है, रीडर को पता चलता है कि वो क्या सोच रहे हैं. और लिमिटेड ओमनीशेंट व्हेन द रीडर नोज व्हाट्स गोइंग in their minds and remaining characters are in the objective fashion. Okay, यहाँ पे all the character, यहाँ पे सबके thoughts clear हैं और यहाँ पे कुछ के हैं कुछ के नहीं हैं. Okay, now God out of machine. So यहाँ पे क्या है, artificial device that is not a natural extension of the plot. So it's unbelievable and resolution of conflict. Beginning in middle of action, a sample to story. I saw the punch coming but couldn't duck in time. I collapsed for nose gushing, clotted blood. Flashback, when the character thinks back to an event that occurred through the story. So flashbacks are the separate interpreter. Foreshadowing is the hint of events. And suspense, suspense is the anxiety coming from an uncertain, undecided, mysterious situation, and it's create an excitement in the reader. Yes. Okay, style के बारे में पढ़ लेते हैं. जैसे antithesis, so the use of a contrast or opposition for effect. Antithesis is a rhetorical device where the sentence or two contains a balanced contrast of ideas, either two halves of a single sentence, two sentences placed side by side. Chronological order, when writers often choose to describe plot events in chronological order, means one after another. Dialect, the style of speaking is used by a particular character. An influence where a person is from, the way he or she pronounces words, the history, the language and area. Now diction. Diction varies according to ends a writer wishes to achieve as well as nature of literary form. So diction क्या है? एक arrangement है जहाँ पे writer wish करता है to achieve as well as the nature of the literary form. So the ornate style of the 18th century was an elegant in its time but would be deemed wordy in the contemporary essay. Direct presentation. Directly information is given to readers. Epiphany, sudden realization by a character or something very critical, a life-changing moment. Indirect presentation often choose readers to inform them characters indirectly. बताया जाता है कुछ ऐसी specific information की वजह जो रीडर्स हैं उसको यूज़ करनी पड़ती है अपनी इन्फरेंस स्किल्स. आयरनी में वर्बल आयरनी, अपोजिट ऑफ व्हाट इज सेड. Sarcasm, situational irony when event occurs that is opposite of what is expected. Dramatic irony when characters say something and audience or readers know more than the character does and say. मतलब with a double meaning. एक डबल मीनिंग जब होता है that is dramatic irony. Audience and the characters doesn't get. Narration when something is narrated. Narrator is the teller of the story. Paradox, a situation that seems to be contradictory or opposed to common sense. Author used paradox to provoke insight. It appears to contradict itself. As a Shakespeare में Romeo and Juliet. Juliet paradoxically refers to Rome as her only love sprung from only hate. The child is the father of the man is a paradox. Then satire, a style of writing when the goal is of mocking or scorning an individual or the society as a whole. Angry and bitter are the satire. Yes. Then we have sarcasm when the person uses the verbal irony to express bitter or anger. So reverse of what is meant is said. That's an act of genius, which really means the act of fool. So it's a sarcasm. है ना? Symbol when the symbol has a literal and a figurative level, like objects, character, event. These are the symbolic. Dove is literally a bird, but it has become the universal symbol of peace. Yes. Other forms are allegory. So allegory has a deeper or a more general meaning to, it has several symbols or metaphors, like a symbol of how people are inherently evil. They will destroy their environment just as Adam and Eve. Now legend is a story sometimes of a national or a folk hero which includes imaginative material. Yes, so it's a legend. Myth is an anonymous tale of unknown origins. Fable is either prose or a verse, some moral truth. And lastly, proverb or a folk tale. So proverb, folk tale भी आपको पता ही है कि एक ट्रेडिशनल स्टोरी हो गई, either in oral or a written form. Proverb attributed to an individual, like a fool and his money are soon parted.